The exclusion of Ravichandran Ashwin in the World Test Championship final raised several eyebrows, not just in the Indian cricketing community but elsewhere as well. And there was a lot of buzz around as to why was Ravichandran Ashwin the best test bowler out there left out of this side. Whatever all said and done, there were plenty of thoughts that were shared by Rohit Sharma, by Rahul Dravid, and finally now though, just about 4 days after the end of the World Test Championship final, the man himself has spoken and he's touched upon a lot of things, including the fact that he's gone ahead and now said that there aren't a lot of friends that he has in the Indian team. He says there's only colleagues now that you have, and the entire things has changed. An explosive interview coming your way. We've broken that interview down for you here, and over the next couple of minutes we will tell you the key parts of that interview that Ashwin has recently had. Let's quickly get into the details of that interview. Ravichandran Ashwin, when he was asked as to the fact that, what does he need, or does he feel the need to keep improving? Does he need to, keep making a point since he wasn't included in the World Test Championship side? This is what Ravichandran Ashwin had to say. He said that the last time when we were in England, it was 2-2 with a drawn test, and they would have left 4 pacers and 1 spinner in the combination in England. That is what they might have thought going into the final. Here he said this while he was saying that this possibly could have been one of the reasons why the team management thought Ravichandran Ashwin should not be there inside. He said, okay, I am going to give it to the team that this is perhaps what the thinking could have been, because we still leveled the series. It ended 2-2 last time around despite me not being included. So possibly this was the reason why I wasn't playing this time around as well. Let's now turn over and talk about the other aspects that he's touched upon in this interview. When he was asked as to how he deals with being the very best out there but still not getting his chances, what did Ravichandran Ashwin say? He said that when I hang up my boots, the first thing I will regret is having been such a fine batter. I should have never become a bowler. Key words over there, and we're going to talk about that. He then goes ahead and says there are different yardsticks for bowlers and batters, and there are different ways of treatment. Now that's a story in there. Ravichandran Ashwin, one of the centrally contracted players, is saying that batters and bowlers have different yardsticks. They're treated differently in the side. The evidence is in front of us. The evidence is very much in front of us when you look at how bowlers have been treated by the Indian selection panel. And he says that, I as a bowler know that I will only get 2 or 3 games to make my mark. Maybe there are people who will get 10 games, 15 games or even 20 games, but when I started out, I knew I will get just 2 games, and that's the mindset, and that is the unfortunate part about becoming a bowler. He also says that he always wanted to become a bowler because he used to see that there were times that Sachin Tendulkar would get all the runs, and Sachin was his favorite. He said Sachin would get all the runs and the Indian team would end away leaking runs. Now that became inspiration for him to become an off-break bowler, because he wanted the Indian bowling lineup to get or the Indian side as a bowling unit to really strengthen, and he could really contribute in the Indian bowling attack, become much more stronger, which is why even though he was a decent bat, he thought of becoming a bowler. But he says that is one thing that he regrets now. He says that because the yardsticks are different, maybe he would have been better off being a batter. Now here is the part that has stunned everyone. He was asked, Ravichandran Ashwin was asked, even though he is at the prime as far as his skill set is concerned, but he was asked if he talks to the others for help. This is what Ravichandran Ashwin had to say. He says that this is an era where everybody is a colleague. Once upon a time when cricket was played, all your teammates were friends. Now they're colleagues. There's a big difference, because here people are there to advance themselves and to stride ahead of another person sitting to your right or left. Nobody's got the time to say, okay boss, what's up with you? A big statement there by Ravichandran Ashwin. He says there aren't friends anymore in the Indian setup. You can go ahead and seek external help. You can get on a call, but nobody comes to help you, is what he says. He says there's only colleagues in the side. There aren't any friends anymore. There is internal competition in many ways. If you could look at it closely, that tells you that there is a lot of competition out there in the Indian side. Players perhaps don't talk enough with each other as they used to in the past, and as a result, Ravichandran Ashwin says that there's only colleagues in the side, there aren't friends. He also goes ahead and adds that he believes that once you start to share the game, once you start to share your experience, let's say as a batter or a bowler, you're able to become much better at your skill set when you start sharing your knowledge. But that, unfortunately, he says, isn't the case right now. This is again one of the things that Ravichandran Ashwin had earlier suggested. He said that some people will get 10 matches, as we were saying earlier as well. Some will get 15, some will get 20. The day I wore the Indian colours, I knew I would get only 2. Then Ravichandran Ashwin was asked, because there were so many cricketers, including Sunil Gavaskar, who had come out in support of him. He was asked as to how it felt every time he got a message or when he saw so much buzz around him, when so many cricketers as well came to back him even when he wasn't shortlisted in the playing 11. He says, every time I get a text message from some of the senior cricketers, I always get excited and I reply immediately. Also says that some of them were icons when he grew up and he looked up to them. He then says, but the fact of the matter is that I couldn't get an opportunity or the world title. I knew I was going to be left out 48 hours before the match. He's talking about the World Test Championship final here. Ravichandran Ashwin says that the decision was made even before we saw those cloudy conditions. Remember, day one it was cloudy, which is why India perhaps went ahead and bowled first, but the decision regardless was made 48 hours prior that the number 1 spinner will not be playing. The world number 1 spinner would not be playing is a decision that Team India had already made. Perhaps, as Ravichandran Ashwin himself says, that was a combination, the 4+1, the 4 seamers, 1 spinner combination was what Team India had worked with earlier in England, and that is why they were very certain it is exactly what they want to do. So all those matchups that we were talking about, the Indian team, this gives us clarity over here that the Indian thing, the team management, the think tank wasn't thinking on those lines. They were not thinking about the matchups, about the fact that there were 5 left-handers in the Australian side. None of that was really being thought about, and the decision to not play Ashwin was made crystal clear. What was then Ravichandran Ashwin, how was he keeping himself? He was trying to talk to the bowlers. He was trying to be as part of the team because he felt that he still had played a part in terms of contributing to the team to reach the final. But he said that he was then trying to motivate the players who he knew would certainly be playing in the final. But 48 hours before the final, before we even saw those conditions, before we saw that green turf, it tells you that regardless of what pitch was going to be dished out at the Oval, Ravichandran Ashwin was not going to be playing, and that tells you what the team management's thinking has been this whole while. So those are some of the excerpts of this explosive interview that Ravichandran Ashwin has given, the first ever interview that he's given after his exclusion, beg your pardon, in the World Test Championship. And he's given us plenty of headlines over there. No colleagues, he says, no friends rather, he says, only colleagues in the Indian side. He knew 48 hours before that he would not be playing the World Test Championship final. And then he also says that there are different yardsticks for batters and bowlers, and he regrets that he chose to become a bowler even when he was a decent batter. Let us know in the comment section. We'll be looking forward to your thoughts as to what you make of this interview of Ravichandran Ashwin, what you make of the Team India's decision, let's say, or their thinking now that it's out there now. What do you have to say about this whole situation, about the fact that Team India went in with a preconceived notion? They were clear that Ravichandran Ashwin will not be playing in the World Test Championship final. I'll be looking forward to your thoughts and comments. For now, thank you so much for watching this special video. Do share it with your friends and family members because there's lots of talking points, and in case you just joined us, do go all the way back, plenty there that we've